Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now yesterday there was a thread of tweets by an indie developer talking about how a specific gaming company or a specific gaming platform, notably PlayStation, is charging people a lot of money in order to promote their game on the storefront, and also the difficulties that they are having in order to actually even get their game approved for the storefront as well. Now I'm honestly two minds about this entire concept. On one hand, I can clearly see how a lot of platform holders want to either try to have some sort of quality control or quality assurance on their storefront. On the other hand, though, I can see how an indie developer would be frustrated trying to get their game on these platforms and on these storefronts in order to make the revenue that not only the platform holder wants to make, but also the revenue the developer wants to make as well. So what I want to do about this is read the thread of tweets and then see what the issues are and what arguments this developer is actually making that could impact other developers as well, and to see if these arguments are actually something that are actionable or viable. So Iain Garner is the co-founder of Neon Doctrine, and here is the thread of tweets that he made the other day. Okay, I am mad enough to burn some bridges, because honestly, what's the point of a bridge that I am not allowed to cross? So here is a thread about Platform X. I will not be defining Platform X, but it's the operator of a very successful console and does not have Game Pass. Clearly, it's PlayStation and it's Sony. He continues by saying, Platform X gives developers no ability to manage their games. In order to get promotion, you must jump through hoops, beg and plead for any level of promotion, and a blog is not as good as they think it is. If Platform X doesn't like your game, no fanfare, no feature, no love. There is nothing you can do to fix this. Wish lists have no effect, so all your personal marketing means nothing to Platform X. All that matters is their evaluation. How is this evaluation done? I don't know. They don't share that at all, nor will they share any value they ascribe to my game. So before you launch, you need to develop the game for Platform X, get through their incredibly difficult lot check spread over 3 generations of backend software, submit a Platform X specific trailer, write a Platform X blog, and submit multiple forms of social media. So to me, a lot of this honestly really seems pretty boilerplate and standard. I know it's not the best course of action, and I know it definitely could be improved, but out of the entire thread so far, the one area that really sticks out to me that would be the most pain would actually be the 3 generations of backend software. I think that could be pretty cumbersome to maneuver through, actually trying to figure out how to do things correctly there, and even then not really having any guidance on that would also be a pretty big pain for a lot of developers to actually get done. I would also make the argument that the actual evaluation that a lot of these platform holders and store owners actually have, determining whether or not a game is worth it or not to promote or not, should also be shared with a lot of developers on what they can actually do to make sure that their game is shown to as many people as possible. The wish listing as well not being a factor, that also happens across on Steam and other places as well, seeing as how people wishlist things just because it looks cool and then forget that it's on their wishlist in the first place. And back in the day when Total Biscuit was talking about how to actually surface games up on Steam's storefront, those arguments were made as well. So I can see this being a bigger problem than just with Sony, Microsoft, and Valve and Nintendo. This seems to be just a bigger problem overall in storefronts in general. So let's keep going and see what else he says. Oh, for 3 and 4, you need to go through an account manager. When asked how to get an account manager, we were told, I'm not sure, they're assigned at resources. And as we know, there's no way to know what resource level you have been assigned. I really think this section of the thread is a bigger problem than people may actually realize. Having an account manager that doesn't really know where you are in terms of resources, or if you've even been assigned one, not having the evaluation, not knowing what's going on, having a breakdown in communication can make things a lot more stressful, not only for the platform holder, but also in terms of the developer itself. And on top of that, if there are those things happening and there's a breakdown in communication, there could be a lot of revenue sitting on the table for the storefront owner and platform holder because they're not having the right communication between the developer and the storefront themselves. This really feels like this process could be streamlined if the storefront owners got together and figured out how to do that in a really smart and effective way. And by doing that, they could then streamline the right games to the right people and then showcase those games based on what you like to play in front of the people who are willing to buy them, thereby having everyone make more money and the tide really lifting all the boats. By the way, you cannot even do a launch discount without their approval, and it is very limited. That's right, you can't do the thing that every other platform does, meaning that Platform X owners will always get the worst deal. That, I think, is pretty. Oh, but don't worry, there is a way to guarantee you get featured. All you need to do is spend a very reasonable amount of $25,000 US to get featuring. Oh, and then the 30% of your subsequent earnings. Bargain. Here, I think, is where a lot of people are actually getting stuck and getting hung up on. A lot of storefront owners will in fact do something like this. If you would like full page featurette front coverage, then we would need some sort of monetary compensation on top of the percentage cut that we're giving you with putting your game on our storefront in the first place. I'm sure Nintendo does it, I'm sure Microsoft does it, I'm even sure Valve does it, and maybe even they might charge even a little bit more depending on how many people they're actually putting up that ad in front of, or that featurette in front of. This seems like typical boilerplate things to do for a lot of storefront owners, and the 30% is pretty much standard across the board besides on the Epic storefront. But with that, I'm honestly two minds about this. Yeah, the $25,000 for featuring sucks because that's a lot of money for a developer who may not have that sort of income and actually have that sort of revenue available for them to use, but it's also a factor of what happens in this business. You have a lot of storefronts that gain a lot of traction and eyeballs, and you want to pay for that marketing. You want to pay for them to do that. Sony, Microsoft, and Valve and Nintendo are taking your game and you're basically paying the ad revenue and marketing budget that you would have for that aspect. Does it suck? Absolutely. However, though, we have seen time and time again that there are so many other ways to truly promote your game in a grassroots type way that really showcase that you don't need that kind of thing. Take a look at New Blood, by the way. Their entire shtick is being boomer shooters and all kinds of things that aren't really popular nowadays. But they've created such a huge grassroots campaign, and Dave Oshry is so intense about how he markets that company that they don't need to be featured in the full front page to get top sells or to get revenue in the first place. They're doing it a much different way. And I think people need to start being, let's say, more creative with how they approach the marketing for their game and for their product that they want people to buy. It doesn't always have to be front page featuring. It could be nice, sure, that would definitely help and make things easier, but doing things in a much different fashion could really take you places much farther than pure capital will. Now, when your game is on the platform, likely without any support from Platform X, you may think, no problem, I can sync up discounts on Platform X with Steam and others. Wrong. Discounts are invite only, and invites are also very limited. It's been literal years since we could put a title of ours in discount, and I spoke to some of our other very popular devs today, and they had the same experience. So even if your game does well at launch and thrives on other platforms, you may still never be invited. Why? Who knows? In conclusion, Platform X is super successful and awesome hardware, but their backend and process is straight out of the early 2000s. I have no idea how to succeed on this platform, and they won't tell me. Even if I do succeed, they may screw me anyways. So yeah, this pretty much sucks, especially hearing about other more popular developers not getting the treatment that they possibly need in order to be successful on that platform. And here's where I see a big part of the rub with this entire conversation. We don't really know what the other storefront owners actually do. What I truly believe may be the bigger issue here is not the financial incentive or the financial backing that is needed to be featured on their storefront. I think the big factor here is just the process in which it goes through. The back-end process, lack of communication, things along that nature, not being invited to actually show discounts. Those kinds of things, I think, are a bigger factor across the board than to just actually say, oh, it costs 25 grand. Like I said before, I'm sure Microsoft, Valve, and Nintendo do the exact same thing for featuring. What I think is really important though is curation, because we can look at Steam and we can see the actual amount of garbage that's listed on there every single day. So we have two very massive extremes. We've got Valve on one end being very hands-off and just doing whatever you'd like and putting yourself out there. But I have heard there are other implications and actual processes that do factor into discounts and things like that, or being on the Steam sale. So we need to dig more into that and how that operates. And then we see the opposite end of the spectrum as well, where it's very hands-on, but very little communication, and no one really knows what's actually going on, and the process is very convoluted. This is honestly really interesting to me, and I'd like to see what you guys think as well. Do you think this process is actually viable? Do you think that this is something that needs to be worked on and fixed? Because there are other developers who are probably dealing with the same thing, and there could be other facets of other companies doing this as well that could impact the kind of games that we see on a daily basis. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd love to find out and see more of what you guys are actually thinking about this entire thing. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. It does mean a lot. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everything, and I'll see you guys next time.